Hi everyone, it's Megan, and this week's topic is a little different. Instead of talking about ourselves and different things that we see for ourselves in the future and plans and whatnot, we will be discussing various events that happened throughout American history. So this definitely took a lot more prep work, for me at least, because I'm not an expert in any historical event. History was never my strongest subject, even though I do enjoy learning about history. I've told you in the past that I don't have the greatest memory, so I'm not good with names, dates, people, places, things, or anything really. So I'm going to try my best not to look at my notes. But, so if you want to find some of this information I found on history.com and Encyclopedia Britannica and also americaslibrary.gov. So I will be talking to you about the Boston Massacre. It happened March 5th, 1770 in Boston. Go figure, Boston. So there were a few things that led up to this happening, and so Britain, they had thousands of soldiers who were stationed occupying Boston at the time, and Britain they were there to enforce the laws and taxation laws that Britain was they were passing on to the American colonies. So one of the reasons why Britain was increasing taxes and taxing the American colonists so much was because they were trying to recover financially from a very expensive war. It was the 7-year war with France. And so they figured they could bring some of this revenue in from the American colonies. Now, the Parliament passed what was called the Stamp Act in 1765, which was a taxation on various paper products and whatnot. Now, then that was repealed in 1766 because the American colonists didn't like it, so they intimidated them with violence. Then a year later, in 1767, the Townshend Acts were passed, and it was a taxation on various imported items from Britain. One of the most popular ones that people know about is tea. The Boston Tea Party, but that's a different event. We're not going to talk about that today. So the American colonists, they did not like the taxation, obviously. I mean, who likes taxes? I know I don't, but we gotta pay them anyway. But anyway, so the American colonists, there were soldiers who were stationed, they were standing outside of the Custom House on King Street in Boston. And so their captain, Thomas Preston, told the soldiers to stand outside of the Custom House, and there was a whole group of American colonists who were out there, and they were being violent. They were throwing things at these soldiers, and somewhere nobody's really quite sure who or wherever, somebody yelled fire, or they're not even sure if that actually happened, but a soldier fired his gun. Whether it was intentional or accidental, nobody knows. But after that first shot was fired, other soldiers started shooting their bayonets. They had bayonets, and so they were firing into the crowd of American colonists, and so there were 5 American colonists that died. And now I'm not entirely sure, because This information I received from history.com, and on one part of it, it says that there were 3. Oh, no, sorry. It says 3 or more were injured. Another part says 6, so I got a little confused. I'm sorry. But anyway, so eventually the British soldiers had been arrested and put in jail, and they were eventually put on trial. Now, John Adams actually represented them and defended them because he wanted to give them a fair trial and basically show that the colonial justice system was, it worked and it was fair. So John Adams, he represented and defended the British soldiers, and eventually he ended up getting the British soldiers. They were only found guilty of manslaughter, according to history.com. They were found guilty of manslaughter and had their thumbs branded with an M for murder as punishment. Now, this was dubbed as, it was known as the Boston Massacre because there was bloodshed. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of blood, but enough that they called it the Boston Massacre. Now, this was one of many events that eventually led up to the American Revolutionary War. And another event which I had mentioned was the Boston Tea Party, which was also another protest against the taxation laws, more specifically on the tea, because I guess I'm not going to talk about it. That's a totally different event. But so this is what led up to the Boston Massacre and what happened with it. Like I said, I'm no expert. I tried not to use my notes too much, but I did find it very interesting, and I apologize. Thank you.